Hello, this is Cynthia Sue Larson with RealityShifters.com, and today I'd like to talk with you about 10 ways that you can use to shift reality. This has become a big hot topic just recently, and I've been studying reality shifts, as a lot of you know, since the 1990s that I've been writing about it. Wrote that book, Reality Shifts. I have a free newsletter every month, still publishing that, Reality Shifters, which contains lots of tips and ideas and pointers and videos and news and lots of good things. But let's get started. So what are 10 things you can do to help make sure that you're experiencing reality shifts? Because my premise is that we're all shifting reality. Most of us don't notice it's happening. It can go undiscerned. So the first step has to do with that. It's pay attention. And what am I talking about? Well, anything you look for and pay attention to, you're likely to see more of. So you want to look, to pay attention, to see if anything today has appeared, disappeared, transformed, transported, or there's been a change in time to indicate that you're literally, perhaps some might say, in another world. Sure feels like that to me sometimes. And some of us experience things where it literally is obviously true. So that's the first step. Start paying attention and be uncritical in the sense that any small change is good. Because truthfully, there's no difference between a teeny tiny little change and everything changing. So that's where you start. Step number 2, you want to really start appreciating. And what do I mean by that? You want to be grateful for all those little shifts that you are noticing. You want to be grateful for anything good at all that you're able to have something to do with that's going well in your life. Even if all you're doing is just watching an educational video, that's great. So appreciate that in yourself and be appreciative of others as well. It's a way to bring more reverence into the world, which is always a good thing. Number 3, you want to be able to review scientific studies. What's that about? Why do you need it? You don't need it if you're already there. So what I mean by already there is if you don't need to calm down that analytical, rational mind that most of us have been trained with in the Western world, and if you already feel like, hey, I'm good, I don't need that, fine, proceed no further. But if you do need that, that's when you want to check out things that I've written, such as lots of articles that are free on my website. That's realityshifters.com. There's a whole article section. There's the newsletter. Feel free to partake of that as much as possible, because that's going to help. What you can start learning with the scientific studies recently, just in the last couple of years, for example, we're noticing there may be no such thing as objective reality, because as I've frequently talked about on recent videos, that classic experiment that took place just a few years ago, the results were published in 2019, had to do with the work at University of Edinburgh, Scotland, and also Vienna, Austria. And that was the lead researcher on the team was Bruckner, and basically they found that 2 observational devices watching what's known as that double slit experiment were able to observe 2 different things at the same place, same time. Is one of them wrong? No, they're both accurate, they're both correct. How can this be? Well, it means that we can experience other realities, that many worlds is quite literally true. This affects all of our underlying assumptions about classical reality, obviously. Step 4, you want to start reviewing your assumptions. When you look at what I just mentioned about the assumptions about classical reality, what are those? Things like it matters all that matters. So we know that's not true. We know that at the quantum scale, the wave function is equally important, and in fact can often contain all the information you need about a given system. If you look at psychology, then it's not just observables that matter. The things that we tend to live and die for, that care the most about, are passions, love, feelings that can never be measured in any way that would satisfy an analytical classical observer. Even the identity of who is the observer is totally not as pinned down as a lot of Western analytical classical scientists would have us believe. So revising the assumptions is excellent. And I get into that in my book, Reality Shifts, a lot, and I talk about it all the time on these videos. Step 5, you want to energize yourself. How do you do that? This is the important part about taking care of yourself. It's your mind, it's your body, it's your spirit. You need to make sure you eat good food, good supplements if you're not eating the right food or you can't for some reason. Make sure you get enough rest and sleep. Make sure you exercise in a way that works for you. All of these things are very individual to you. So hardly ever is there a one-size-fits-all about these things. And then, of course, energizing yourself includes meditation, qigong. If you do a martial art that has an internal component, make sure you do the breathing and the movements that go with that. Step 6, you want to reverse negative self-talk. And I get into this in my book, Reality Shifts, where I talk about how often we collapse the wave function, if you will. We basically select realities based on what we're obsessed with. Sometimes, unfortunately, what we're obsessed with is what we're afraid of. So that's how you can often see people bring exactly what they most fear into their lives, usually quite inadvertently, and it's most unfortunate when it happens, but we don't want to be doing that. How do you just stop yourself from doing that? Like I said, you can't actually reverse that negative self-talk. So if you think of let's see, I'm trying to think of there's an idea in mathematics, you may have seen it, constructive interference. And it's where, it's like building a mountain. So you're building something up. You feel it when you're surrounded by friends who are all in favor of whatever it is you'd like to reality shift and experience. That's your inner circle of supportive friends that are totally behind you no matter what. You can feel the absence of that or the collapse of that where you've got destructive interference. That's like the mountain is caving in right in the center. That would be where somebody has popped your bubble. They're basically saying wet blanket, negative things about your dreams, putting it down, putting you down somehow, or just saying that sort of thing is impossible. So that's what I mean. What can you do about it? You can create very targeted, specific affirmations by reversing the exact sort of negative ideas as if it's some sort of a virus, and you're creating antibodies that then fight that virus, because these are thought constructs. They have a life of their own sometimes, so you want to actively target the ones that need help. If you can't think of what they are, go ahead and just keep asking, how good can I get? How good can my life get? That's going to be very positive, and eventually you'll get to the same place. Number 7, this is where you want to feel non-locally connected. How do you do that? Well, connecting with me through this video is fantastic. You're doing it right here because I can feel that you're there. I know maybe you feel like you're alone. Maybe you feel like people don't believe in this, but I do. I've been studying it for over 20 years now. I look into physics, current physics experiments to see what kind of evidence do we have to support what I'm already experiencing pretty much every day, to show like what is going on here. So that non-locally interconnected feeling is very powerful. You can also feel it if you believe in angels and you feel like, I've got support, I can feel it. Yes, you do. Absolutely you do. We're all born with that support, and you have it right now. So feeling that community, finding community, the internet is wonderful for that possibility, can give you that. And number 8, visualize what you desire. If you're going to visualize what you're desiring, hopefully at this point you've cleaned out the negative interference and you're focusing totally on what you most wish to have happen. I like to leave it open for nature to participate, for you to participate. I might not have thought of everything you're thinking of, so why do I ask how good can it get instead of being very specific all the time? Because I know that I'm not alone. I know that you're working with me. And that's something that's amazing. When we notice the Mandela effect and we see changes to huge amounts of people, like 8 billion people around the world, noticing physiological changes that in some ways are improvements to our physical body that have never been there before. This is very powerful. Number 9. So now we're getting in the home stretch. There are going to be 10 of these. So number 9 is really letting go. You might think, but you just told me to focus. Yes, I did. You do that for just a moment. You hold it with a beautiful love, maybe 7 seconds, 20 seconds, maybe a couple minutes, but you don't want to grab onto it and hang onto it, because you want to allow, it's like planting a seed, you want it to grow. You want it to come to you. You want yourself to come to it. You want to leave that degree of freedom open so you can drift into a meditative state, get into that drifty state of mind where you can suddenly realize that reality was right next to me, and now I'm in it. I'm here. And it happens very quickly, but in order for it to happen quickly, you gotta let go. It's just like when sometimes people say make a wish and then blow the candles. You just let it go. You don't hang on to that wish. That exhalation is very much a key to that whole process. And number 10, choose your attitude. I recommend going for the highest level vibrational attitude you can access. So if today it's just feeling like things are okay, good. That's a good start. If you can feel like, okay, things are okay, but I have got this feeling like they're getting better. I feel like I've got connections. I feel a sense of love. That's fantastic. And if you feel grateful to things that are going well for you or people that you love, let people know, let the world know. Really share that joy, that gratitude. And if you can get to, for me, the highest state is reverence and awe, where I'm just feeling like there's so much love, so much amazing possibility here, just in nature. And we're all part of it. And I'm so excited to be able to share that in my work with you, in my life. Then that's phenomenal. So wherever you are, just own it. So kind of go to where you naturally are, whatever that level is. You can have an eye looking up like, okay, I'd love to get to joy. Wouldn't that be great? Yes, it is great. So just kind of recognize, I'm asking for it every day. I'm asking, how good can it get? And even if it seems like it's just an okay day or even worse than that, just ask it anyway. How good can it get? So until next time, this is Cynthia Sue Larson with RealityShifters.com, asking you to join me in every day asking, how good can it get? Take care.